all product, basement hard luck. Basement hard luck. Card shots, thieves, murderers with hard luck. Pimps and card shots, thieves, murderers with hard luck. We all product, basement hard luck. Basement hard luck. Card shots, thieves, murderers with hard luck. Pimps and card shots, thieves, murderers with hard luck.
Good afternoon and welcome to the Hard Luck Show. I'm your certified, qualified, West Side host, Steve Lucky Luciano. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, you've tuned into the greatest show on earth. It's the Hard Luck Show, coming at you from the bunker in Southern California. Sitting across from me, my co-host and my partner
is Chumahan Bowen, American Indian, Southern Californian, elegant barbarian, here to bring you another fucking fantastic heater once again.
SOS, check a bitch on sight. Times may change, tigers can't change their stripes. Past may cross, other paths should not. We the gang, the gang, we all we got.
What?
We are all
that
we got.
We are all we got.
We are all we got. We are all we got. We are all we got. We the gang, the gang, we all we got. Education of self, generation of wealth. Stimulus check on the first, it'll be gone by the 12th. The middle class is wiped out. America shut down.
Come
no
on.
NBA buckets, ain't no throwing no touchdowns. People living in fear,
Come on.
alone with their own thoughts. And
Come
that's
on.
a dangerous thing, cause niggas got no heart. The great white shark bite got blood in the water. Late night gunfights detained at the border. How the fuck they gon' find out a tiger in the zoo got this fucking COVID-19 virus before you? Okay.
What? You hear that, Steve?
The shit, niggas eating shit sandwiches for internet clicks.
What?
We were sick before the virus hit. Only the strong and steady minds will come up out of it. There are dark days ahead, so I pulled out the pen and pad, and this is what it said. SOS, check a bitch on sight.
Yeah.
Times may change, tigers can't change their
Okay.
stripes.
All right, but you know what? There's a guy on this that's a friend of Big Lux. See if he recognizes him. We are all we got.
We the gang, the gang, we all we got.
Oh, it's Be Real.
Got you confused and fearful. Say your goodbyes, his friends die. You're tearful. Political lies through party lines are nearful. Leaving us behind, waving goodbye in the rear view. People divided, not even the virus could unite us. Pull us apart, it's an art of war meant to divide us. Clearance the highest for a chosen few. Overview, they don't give a fuck about no soul. It's overdue for the time being.
Hey, did you know that Be Real and Exhibit dropped an album in 2020?
Yes, I did.
This is
I didn't listen to it.
Summer of Sam. Summer of Sam. It's Exhibit, Be Real, and who's some dude named Demrick. I don't know who the fuck that is. What do you think of that? That's the first songs that I've heard that involve COVID, and responding to COVID.
Yeah. I think that's interesting.
I think that's fucking great. I was just thinking, like, where the fuck?
Maybe we should utilize one of those songs for Westlos.
Yeah.
Word up.
Shit you wanna track and trace me, this go end up in the motherfucking streets. Watch.
You know who that dude fucking flows like right there? The dude who was just flowing right there,
Yeah.
the other dude, he flows like J. Cole. Like a delivery.
That whole album's got a lot to say about current events.
Back up a little bit. Just a little bit.
Right here?
Back up a little bit further. This guy. Yeah, he had an interesting flow.
And on your left, who is it? Who else do we got? Oh!
Blue Eyes himself.
That's the one, dude.
Sean Lewis, certified audio professional engineer for the Hard Luck Show.
Yeah!
Yeah, they're happy for you today, Sean. I guess this rock and roll. Who is this?
My head is like a sieve. Hey, man. Wear my sister's clothes. Cause I was in the bathroom wearing pantyhose. Ah! 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 Hey, man. I mean, hey man, we could do that. We could walk around and act like a bunch of punks.
And we have our hard luck.
Let's get his theme song. Before we get started, let's get his theme. I want you guys to listen to this. It was hand selected for him from a bevy of interesting new recent hot tracks that have dropped from some international studios. Here, this is the ode to maybe it could be considered maybe one of the most potential controversial. Here we go.
Are
This
you
is-
going to sing?
Yeah, but it's not a song. It's my life.
Ladies and gentlemen, coming to the stage, center stage. He's a man who feels socially awkward but still smokes weed. It's Special K. Special K, dude. Show us that belly dance you do. Hey, I didn't know you wear belly jewelry. Holy shit.
What do they
Special
call
K.
that? A belly chain?
Yeah, it's a belly chain.
Yeah. Goes through the hoop of your piercing? Wow.
Yeah. He's got a couple of barbells down below.
Yeah.
It's what? Special K, he wears the belly jewels. Special K, he will be really nice to you. He dances and smokes his weed. He plays video games on the Twitch.
If you live like that,
Hey.
do you know what people think about you?
Do you know? Do you know what people think about you?
I think about ya. Sentimental. They don't know that I'm really sentimental.
Yeah, DJ Sentimental.
DJ Sentimental.
DJ Sentimental.
Special K.
Hey, Special K, what is your initial reaction to that song?
It's fantastic.
Yeah,
right?
I actually like it.
You
Very
do?
catchy.
Yeah, it's catchy.
It's catchy, right?
It's my life.
It's my life. I don't know where to go. All right, so we can review, right? It's been a fucking crazy week. We got some fucking stories. I think probably the number one story to talk about off the top would be the GameStop story.
For sure.
Sean, do you want to bring us up to speed as to what the GameStop story is?
Dude, it's everywhere. Everybody's talking about that shit.
Right. What do you think about it, Steve?
I don't understand it.
What don't you understand?
I don't really understand how it affected big banking and big trade.
I'll see what I can
And
Okay,
these
so-
people boosted this thing up, and then I don't understand it.
Go ahead, Sean.
So,
US?
there's a Wall Street Bets on Reddit, which is basically just a forum of people talking mad shit.
Okay, hold on. That's good. You're going right to the thing, but
Right.
let's set it up. Okay, so first thing you have to understand is that GameStop as a stock was plummeting.
Right.
Of course,
It was
it's a
a-
retailer.
Garbage stock. And
Yeah.
our in-resident gamer, hey, Special K, it's your life.
Yeah.
What is the reason why GameStop was not doing well in the stock market?
I mean, it kind of has to do with COVID, but it also has to do with the fact that just people weren't going to GameStop anymore. You have like other retailers, like digital platforms, like Epic Games or like other
Steam
places.
and-
Steam, yeah. That
You
could
can
just buy
get the
games.
same games right there and
Yeah.
have them delivered to your house.
I mean, even Amazon.
Just buy it digitally, and Amazon too.
Yeah,
did
so
do that.
why go to the store when you just download the shit?
Yeah.
So you don't have to get anything physically.
So you don't gotta go to
Anything.
a fucking store at
Just
GameStop and get a
boop, boop,
cartridge.
boop, and it's on your computer.
That's it. So GameStop, right,
Mm-hmm.
which was on top of the fucking heat before that started to be the business model that everybody was following. So GameStop still has all these brick and mortar shops.
Right.
Okay. So in any event, the stock starts going down. Everyone's like, it's
Of
garbage.
course.
Okay. Now, as Sean was beginning to say, in Wall Street, one of the ways that you can make money is by shorting a stock. What is shorting a stock? Shorting a stock is when you're pretty sure, based on your research, right? You called up Special K and he's like, I'm just pretty much going down. You go, okay, great. It's going down. So I am right? I'm going to borrow the stock. I'm going to borrow the stock. I don't own it yet. I know it's going down, and I'm going to borrow it. And I'm going to sell it at a price higher than when it finally bottoms out. So if the stock's at $100 and I know, or I have a pretty good idea that it's going to go down to $10, right? I'm going to borrow it from somebody and say, look, I'm going to pay you, I'm going to buy all the stock no matter what price it's at. And I'm going to borrow it from you and I'm going to sell it for $50 before it hits 10. So somebody who doesn't know, it's like stock's at 100 or maybe it's at 80 now or it's at 70, sees a great deal for 50. They buy it all up. When it hits 10, I use the $50 that I sold it all at to buy it up at 10 and hand it over. And I've made $40 on it. Does that make sense? Now that works great if it's for sure going to go down. The price that you're borrowing it at and selling it to some schnook who doesn't know any better, that's great if the price that you sell it to the schnook, the original price when it hits, is way lower than the price the schnook paid. So that starts happening. Now, hedge funds are these pools of money of investors that get together and they deal with these fucking entrenched, enticed, like fucking guys they've been doing this for the last 100 years, right? And you got to rely on them, these hedge funds, right? So they're all making these bets. Then what happens, Sean?
So one of the guys from one of these hedge funds, or like a hedge fund firm or something, he writes an article about GameStop and about, oh, you better short it because it's fucking tanking. And somebody...
Hold on. So right there...
You better short it.
Now listen, hold on one second. So what Sean is saying is that some industry insider, this is how they rig the game for these Wall Street fucks. Insider wrote an article telling everybody that you better short, basically doing what I just said.
Short sell?
Yeah.
The stock because it's going down. Now, he wrote that article, he puts it out there, and that's only for people who are kind of like understanding what's going on. But it's also in a weird way writing the death certificate for GameStop because he's basically an expert who's saying this stock is only going to go down, so everybody starts shorting it, which is almost the same way as saying this shit ain't worth shit.
Right.
Right?
Right.
So, especially in the stock arena, right? So, especially in the stock arena, that's when sometimes what you say becomes prophecy.
Right.
Right?
Okay.
And in a weird way, it's almost like getting around in insider trading. It's almost a weird way of getting around some of the fairness.
It's like dry snitching.
Exactly. That's exactly
It's like doing it, but putting it under a context where it's not looked at even like that.
Right.
Dry snitching.
Yeah.
Dry snitching, not to be confused with dry humping, which has its own problems.
Yes, that's it.
What's dry snitching?
Do you have an example of it?
How do I explain a dry snitching? That's like if we were in a cell, right? And a cop came up and Kevin's in the cell down there, right?
Yeah.
And the cop's like looking in cells, and the cop says something, and you go, well, at least I ain't tattooing in my cell. I ain't tattooing in here. I ain't told on nobody, have I?
No.
But have I told on somebody in a way?
Yeah.
Right, that's dry snitching.
Right.
That's dry snitching. Now the dude's going to go walk right to the cells and crack the dude tattooing.
Listening for zzz.
Right, dog. Yeah, right. So that's a dry snitch. You still snitch. You're a snitch.
Right.
You're telling. Right. Go on.
Right. So on that level, okay, so that goes out. So Sean, people who are dialed in, they're hedge funds, this is how they fucking stay wealthy and all this other shit. Then what happens?
So you have to imagine
The dude that's writing is an expert in stocks,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and he wrote this and submitted it to Reddit.
No. He, I think he was. I guess they write a.
Dude, listen, the hedge fund, the billionaires, the fucking assholes on Wall Street that don't give a shit about any of us,
Right.
They have their own types of Reddit, right?
Okay.
Reddit is for the people.
Right.
These assholes, it's not called Reddit. It's called, so-and-so's journal blog or, Journal of Finance. Some shit that guys like you and me might not necessarily look at, or we're not even getting a subscription to that.
He's saying short it. It's about to plummet.
That's right.
Dump that shit.
Which could be based on some inside knowledge he knows, or it could be that he's telling everybody, hey, let's all get together, start shorting it, and watch the stock go down, and we're all going to make a bunch of money on it. It's like price fixing. Right. Without actually coming out. Just how these fucking oil fuck faces do. Well, based on, certain considerations and the refinery shutdowns that have gone on, boy, it sure seems like it might be the case that gas prices are going to go up, I think.
Yeah.
Right? What do you think? Well, I don't know, but it sounds right. But in reality, it's like, hey, everybody. So in this one, it's like, hey, everybody, let's just short the shit out of this fucking thing and get rid of GameStop, make a bunch of money, fuck over some other investors. Regular people.
Right.
All right. So that all happens, Sean. And then what happens? Who is famous also supported it. So go ahead. Tell that story, bro. Supported the next move.
Well, a lot of people.
All right. Your man. Who's the guy that you really like?
Elon.
Right. What did Elon do?
I'm not sure what he did.
Oh, okay. Let me tell the story. I thought you read the thing. Elon. Okay, so what's the name of the Reddit thread?
Wall Street Bets.
Wall Street Bets. How many people are on Wall Street Bets?
Right now, it's like 1.7 million.
So 1.7 million.
But that's like because it's.
But it was a lot of people still.
Yeah.
All right, check this out. So the elite rich guys go, hey, GameStop. Everybody starts shorting it. Doesn't look good. Then a lot of regular folks who had fucking whatever or some inkling of what's going on Wall Street Bets. It's a lot of people. Each individual might not have a lot of money, but together, right? 700,000 people or whatever it is, when you pull that amount of money together, it's a lot of money.
Right.
So what do?
What do they do?
They start buying GameStop stock, which starts sending the price up. So if you're trying to make money by making sure that the stock price goes down, and then the common people, and you already made the contracts, you already signed your thing. You said, oh yeah, it's going to go down to A, and so I'm borrowing all that, and I'll pay whatever price it's going to be at a certain date. Right? It doesn't matter if it's up or down. That's your gamble. So you go, yeah, but it's going to go down, and you pays your money and you set it all up, and then all of a sudden, a whole crowd of people on the internet start buying the stock. And because they're buying the stock, the price starts going up. And all of a sudden, the stock goes from being $19 per stock to $354 per stock. And you've bet your fucking house
that it's dumping,
that it's going to go down. You are, as they say in the business, fucked, my friend. You are royally fucked. Elon Musk tweeted out that Wall Street Bets thread to even more people to ensure that even more people were going to get the message that, guess what? If we all buy the stock right now at $20, $30, the more we all buy, stock's going to go up to $300, $340. Not only are you going to put out the light of these Wall Street wealth fuckers, but you're also going to make a shit ton of money.
Fuck yeah.
And some of these hedge funds almost went tits up because they had to cover
their loss.
They had to cover it. They had to pay it. They had a contract.
It's like $70 billion.
Yeah. A whole fucking
That's what it's at now.
And listen to this. So there's apps that were given you can get on your phone for regular people who aren't connected to hedge funds and have friends with fuckers like Robert Durst and all these assholes in the fucking New York. I like regular people in New York. I'm not dissing New York.
Right.
Those, like Robinhood, Ameritrade, right? Like when you get your, you're watching TV or whatever, and they tell you Scottrade, Ameritrade, so the average guy doesn't have to suck the dick off of some fucking guy in New York to try to buy stocks and get some tips. They put a moratorium on buying those specific stocks.
What do you mean?
I mean, they put the kibosh so that regular people, once the stock price started getting driven up and putting rich fucks on the East Coast out of business, the applications that were supposed to be for the common people stopped the common people from buying any more of those stocks so the price wouldn't continue to go up.
Isn't that illegal?
I mean,
definitely
Ocasio-Cortez, some of the representatives are going to do an investigation. Abso-fucking-lutely, you're right.
So AOC got on Twitch.
Right. Yeah.
And she did a stream and then invited a bunch of people on to talk about what was going on or whatever. But she definitely supports
an
the
investigation.
Redditors.
And she supports the Redditors. So does Elon Musk. So does a lot of people. So yeah, that is illegal. And in fact, Robinhood, after a day, undid. Robinhood's the name of the application. Mm-hmm. They undid the stop on buying some of those on those.
But they are doing a thing when you put money into the your Robinhood account.
Yeah,
you have to wait like a specific amount of time. I'm not sure.
Float. Just like at the banks, when you fucking deposit a check and they act like it takes them 10 weeks to figure out where the money's at, when in reality it's just sitting in their thing collecting interest.
Right.
So Robinhood does that.
They had to borrow money because I'm not sure why they had to borrow money, but there's something going on where they needed cash, maybe to, I don't know, do these bets for everybody who's getting on Robinhood and
even though these apps that were supposedly for the common person tried to stop the purchase, they allowed the sale of those stocks. So they stopped, you couldn't buy it, which would drive the price up. But they would allow you to sell it, which would drive the price down. So they were basically putting their thumb on the scales of justice in favor of Wall Street. And I guess the hedge fund billionaires went fucking nuts. Like they went crazy. Like they're not used to their authority being challenged like that. They're not. You're talking about somebody who the popes of finance, who all of a sudden the common people fucking stormed the cathedral.
Now, did you see that little thing I sent you from D. Murthy?
Yeah, that's related to what he was saying.
Right.
What did he say?
Oh, I have to look it up.
Yeah. Right. D. Murthy was saying like, hey, it's fucked up for these people to get special treatment. Because may I ask you a question, Steve? What do you think our listeners, how much understanding do you think,
he said today is the decline of the traditional finance. It either rapidly changes or you will see the rise of things like crypto, DeFi way, quicker. There was never transparency and now everybody knows.
Right.
There was never transparency like you guys are saying.
Right. So that's what's going on. And people are saying, like, you see, there's socialism for the wealthy. There's free markets.
They're playing with everybody's shit.
There's free markets for poor people. But there's not free markets if it's gonna endanger inherited wealth and all these rich fucks. Then no free markets. Then it's controlled. That's socialism.
Let me read something to you because this will it might explain kind of how fucked up it is to short a stock. All right. It says Burry's hedge fund Scion Asset Management disclosed that they bought 5.3% of the ailing video game retailer GameStop, between 2 and 4.2 a share, spending about $15 million in total. So that's what they bought of the stock in order to short it. Right? Burry's plan was to urge GameStop to use its cash to buy back the stock, potentially retiring about half of its shares outstanding. So it's a squeeze that they're doing. When they short a stock at that frequency, it's a squeeze that they're putting on GameStop. So that's why it's kind of fucked up to do.
Right. And like, big money, right, is running scared now. Because I don't think anybody contemplated yet, or maybe just how much stock values could be influenced by commoners when they have access to the internet and they have access to being able to purchase the stocks on their phone. there used to be a lot of fucking gates you had to get through, and then you just had to trust somebody to manage it. But the guys that you trust to manage it, half of them are getting kickbacks from the stocks that they buy, and it's all tied in. So it's a real slow moving thing that most people don't understand. But once it got to this level of transparency, which D. Murphy said, it's now big money's like, fuck, like we got to do something. So there's going to be
all this other money collectively.
There's going to be a ton of retaliation.
What are these big? Wait, let me ask you guys something. Who are the tech guys behind these companies that are taking $100 from Kevin, $50 from the guy that works at Carl's Jr., the manager, $200 from me, like putting all that to work? Like that seems like, I mean, I guess if you could figure out the programming for it, that seems like a huge people that can really, like you're saying, Robinhood.
Right.
How much money is a fucking app like Robinhood making?
Well, the real question, you're right. And the question is, Robinhood, right? Who's the app really designed for? Is it
your average Joe that's not making a lot of money?
That's what they say. But how come all of a sudden when big money gets threatened, all of a sudden Robinhood wants to shut down purchasing certain things and they want to control stuff?
Well, that means they're under the grasp of fucking the big guys.
Right. And if they need to borrow money or be bailed out because they can't handle what's going on,
there's something wrong.
Then they shouldn't be in business.
No.
Right.
Bankrupt those fucks.
Robinhood's actually backed by one of the hedge funds. They own a portion of Robinhood. So
there you
that's
go.
why.
Mm-hmm.
There you fucking
Because
go.
it's a great way to make money, too.
Well, they make money every time you buy stock or transfer stock or whatever. So they
Right.
take like a small percentage of.
Think about that. The stock doesn't even have to perform. Win or lose, they're getting paid.
Right. Absolutely.
Dude, but that's like, think about that, man. An app like that.
Right.
That's appealing to it's appealing to just the masses. It's appealing to the guy that's just going check to check.
Right. And so all the people are doing, right, the subredditors, they're doing the same short squeeze, essentially, that the hedge funds normally do. But since it's not benefiting the hedge fund fucks,
they're mad.
They want to change the rules. And they want to call it a fair market. A free market. It ain't free. Not for you fucks.
And it's not fair.
And it ain't fair.
No, that's
And these guys
bullshit,
feel
man.
entitled to run shit. These are the same fucks of the banks and everybody that was drinking champagne during Occupy Wall Street.
Yeah.
You know? So that might be one of
now
the...
let me hear.
Go
Now
ahead.
I got a question for you guys though.
Go ahead.
Here's the part that doesn't make sense. GameStop didn't make the turn quick enough, the adjustment, to be the digital retailer of games.
Go ahead.
And brick and mortar is going away. Every brick and mortar and every type of business is now being closed. You don't need that much retail space to do business.
No.
So all these people buy up and make all this money and buy up the stock. But what about GameStop? I don't care how much you buy it up. How is GameStop going to become anything?
Well, they did bring in a venture capitalist, the same guy that put together Chewy.com, which is an online pet food fucking company like PetSmart or some bullshit like that, who modeled his dog food company after like Amazon, Jeff Bezos. All right, that guy, when GameStop was starting to decline a little bit, that guy was brought in a deal. Since he understood online retailing, GameStop had brought him in to start changing that.
Okay.
So as this fix is coming in, that's when some of these head short people start putting the squeeze on GameStop to try to knock them out. So you can say, like, you're right. Like, well, why didn't they make the turn? Maybe there was calculations pre-COVID for GameStop that we're not privy to that made sense for them to not ramp down their brick and mortar. Who the fuck knows? I don't know. But they did bring in, once they got a quarterly report after COVID, after the first quarter, once GameStop saw that report, they brought in the fixers. They brought in genuine fixers to come in and help them with the online portion.
Scale over.
To scale over. And as they're starting to make the move, all of a sudden somebody's trying to choke out their stock. And then, but, right, that move, and who knows? I mean, Who knows who Elon Musk knows? Who knows if some of these people are friends? Who knows if whatever? But it's like if one group starts attacking one dude's neighborhood, and you happen to like that neighborhood, and you can be supportive or do something to help out, you might.
So did Elon Musk tell people to squeeze it to short it too?
He just basically amplified it. Yeah, he just amplified it. It was already happening, and I think people were starting to understand, like, oh, wait a minute. If enough common people talk about purchasing a stock and they just do it, then we don't have to have a middleman. These hedge fund billionaires are middlemen.
Right.
So we don't need that. Right? And then the hedge fund billionaires get pissed off because they're like, well, that's not expertise. And then the common people are like, fuck your expert. You can take your expertise and shove it up your dick hole.
Yeah.
Right. And listen to this. So when Robinhood stopped everybody from being able to purchase stock that they wanted to purchase, they got the money. It's America. What do you mean I can't buy it?
Right.
It's for sale, right?
Yeah.
Get the fuck.
How in the fuck?
So they started giving Robinhood negative reviews on Google. 1 star and all this shit, right? Got hit with a ton of negative reviews. Guess who's helping Robinhood clean up their bad reviews? Google. Google is stepping in to clean up legitimate bad reviews against Robinhood. Let me ask you this. How many times have you had a friend's business get negative reviews, and how many times did Google step in to help them fix that? What's the process to erasing negative reviews for your Google?
It's easy as pushing a button for those people.
And for everyone else,
fuck them.
That's it.
Unless you know somebody.
See that? That's some fucking bullshit. What do you think about that, Sean? Fucking Google's helping to clean up their reviews.
I mean, I kind of get it.
Why?
Because it's not a legitimate review based on like the app itself.
No,
it's about the business practices.
How is that different?
Just because, like, I think that when you go on the Google store or whatever,
go ahead
to get an app, you want to know if, like, A, it's popular, if people use it, and if it's functional and that sort of thing. I think you would probably do your research into the business practices. I don't know.
What are you saying? No. Listen, Sean, I understand what you're saying. You're saying, look, the app itself doesn't not work right, but
people are pissed off, and that's why they're leaving negative reviews.
But they're pissed off because the app is only one piece of the corporation. The app functions how the corporation tells it to function. So I don't give a shit if the buttons work or not. But if the corporation is giving directions to the app so that it doesn't function as it advertised, which is you can buy your stocks.
I see what you're saying.
Except arbitrarily, there may be a management decision to shut that button off.
Right.
Then you got a right to be like, yeah, watch out for that app. Don't sink your money with Robinhood. Don't let them collect all that interest on your fucking money.
Well, I guess he's right. It's a false advertisement at that point in time.
Right. And so I think that's a legitimate reason to leave. I think that might even be a better reason to leave a bad review because then you're saying, like, listen, we're holding apps responsible not just for their functionality as an app, but whether or not they're going to do what they say they're going to do.
If you're reviewing my restaurant and my chef had fucking a heart attack and died, and the guy that came in had the lasagna the day after...
Right.
Can I go to Google and be like, check this out, bro. My regular chef had died, and I hadn't replaced him. So the lasagna that guy ate wasn't really the lasagna that we serve.
Right.
So can we take that review down? Because really it's not accurate.
Actually, they do allow you to contest reviews.
Oh, really?
Yeah. You can contest them. Doesn't mean the review's gone. Okay. But whoa. That doesn't mean the review's gone. You can go on and say your piece.
You know
it's
what?
Just like Yelp. It's just like Yelp.
Yeah.
Who's checking on? Wait a minute.
Go ahead.
Is it Google Review?
Yeah.
Is those the ones that own the review shit?
I mean, they own the Google Review shit. Yeah.
Isn't that their main review? Is that the main
Google?
fucking...
Yeah, absolutely. You search,
or is it Yelp?
No.
There's. What do you mean?
No, he's asking who it is. You're asking who's checking the integrity of the reviews.
Well, who's checking the integrity of the reviews? But I'm also thinking, man, to be a review company, you're kind of smart. Because you've got your hands in all sorts of people's business and data.
Oh.
Now you've come up with a way that everybody's has to engage you because you're the review.
You've just put your finger on what Yelp does. That's what Yelp is.
Is that what they are?
Dude, you know how many clients I have that come to me and say, some of these reviews are fucking bullshit.
Dude,
it's a
Yelp has
competitor.
their hand in everything.
It's a competitor. Yelp's been sued.
Yelp is a incinerary to all the shit. It's just one of those things you need, right?
Right.
It's like you're not in the weed game. I'm in the rolling paper game, right? So you got to have the rolling paper, the lighter game. The review, that's fucking smart. Whoever came up with that was like, everybody's going to need a review.
Right.
Every business has to have a review.
Right. Because if
Really
you're
smart.
searching on the internet, how do you know? My wife likes to read the reviews, and I tell her, dude, I always take that shit with a grain of salt. I don't know who put that
But
up
if
there.
Amazon has all this fucking information, right? All this, what do they call it? Data?
Oh, they do. Google
Right.
has all the data. They have search data. They have
Right, because
likes
everybody
data.
goes to Google.
Right.
How much is Yelp? Yelp's got to, they've got to be like ultra layered in. You get what
Right.
I'm saying?
They are. They absolutely are.
Those people got all.
I know a ton of people who feel unfairly targeted by Yelp. Like they just don't know, and they feel like it's like a mafia.
I bet they are, and I bet you that the Yelp people are smart enough to be like, all right, you want to get into plumbing in North Carolina? We can tell you what your competition looks like in North Carolina. Here's what, you want to sell light bulbs in Minneapolis? We can give you the fucking exactly how many people, what your
Sure.
competition, what that business looks.
Sure.
We can tell you where there's not enough and they need more. Like they have answers like that, dude.
I'm certain they do. Sean? Sean?
Yeah.
You had a look on your face. You had a little sparkly little Kris Kringle twinkle in your eye. I saw it back there about 5 minutes ago. Listen to this. Billionaire Major League Baseball owner Stephen Cohen is defiant after GameStop loss and says he's trying to make a living. The GameStop stock buying frenzy left some major money movers holding the bag, while lay investors, meaning regular blue-collar investors, have managed to make huge amounts. By the way,
Millions.
some kid, 10-year-old kid, who got gifted GameStop stock, it was like 1 or 2 or whatever, he made $3,200 for a 10-year-old kid when he sold it. For that little black kid in the middle of nowhere, fucking $3,200. That the original when they bought it was like $8.
Dude, some of these guys are posting like how much they bought on Wall Street Bets. You can go on and check it out, and like some people bought up like 200,000 shares.
Right. And the shares, listen, the shares gained. Let me look at what I just fucking made my notes. Where is it? Increased 1,600% between January 11th and January 27th. So in 16 days, $1 became $1,600. And left a guy like Stephen Cohen, the billionaire owner of the New York Mets, holding the bag for his short position. He had to basically take the money out of that guy's pocket and put it in a whole bunch of other people's pocket. That's basically what it is. His hedge fund, Point72, joined with Citadel, who invested $2.7 billion in Melvin Capital, another hedge fund. Melvin Capital took a huge short position on GameStop, putting it in the unenviable position of potentially having to buy the stocks back at a ludicrously inflated price. So when they put that huge position to buy the GameStop stock, they thought it was going to be, when it started, it was $19. So I'm sure they thought it was going to be like $3, maybe $2. Instead, it was $347 per fucking share.
They're fucked.
And they're fucked.
Yeah, and this all started because of one of the Reddit users. He's been actually researching this for like a year now, so it's not like
Diamond
he just,
Hands? Is that who it was?
I think so, but it's not like he just randomly came up with this. Like, let's just buy in GameStop. No, like
It flipped out the Mets fans so much about his position that they freaked out and asked him if it was going to affect the payroll on the Mets baseball team.
Oh, that's great.
They're tripping. And Stephen Cohen admitted, he said it was a rough night. But then he said, fuck it. And he prodded Reddit investors. He said, hey, stock jockeys, keep bringing it. So he's defiant. This billionaire is defiant.
And there's a lot of these guys that are on Reddit are holding this stock.
Right.
They're not going to sell.
They're holding
They're going to wait until these guys have to fucking pay.
Right. Because it's a time frame.
Right.
So right now,
That part I don't understand.
They're not in
okay.
and out.
So when you short it, and you're technically saying that on so and so date, right? So on February 1st, no matter what the stock price is, I said that I wanted 1 million shares, and I will pay
Whatever it is.
whatever the price for that 1 million shares is. Those guys that would do that would only do that knowing that the price was going to be
$2 a share.
right. And the idea is that in that process, when they go, look, I'll tell you what, you don't know what's going to happen with your stock, right? But I'm going to guarantee you a buyer, me, 1 million shares. So you don't worry about it, okay? And on February 1st, I'm going to buy 1 million. Doesn't matter. So you're at least going to get something. That person will say, all right, fine, 1 million, here you go. They don't really transfer it yet. It's a promise. Okay. The guy's got 1 million. Now, before February 1st, he's bought 1 million shares. Started out $20. So technically, he's thinking, I'm going to break even. If it stays at 20 and it's going to be 20 million bucks, I'll break even. But what he's hoping is, right, like you said, on February 1st, it's going to be $2, 2 million. And between now and February 1st, he's going to try to sell that 1 million shares for $5. 5 million, right? So when February 1st hits and it's only $2, he pays $2 million, but he sold it for $5. He gets to keep $3 million bucks. That's how it works. But instead, the fucking Reddit monster, instead of going to $2, it went up to 347 or whatever. Now that fucker's on the hook for 347 million. Come hell or high water. Sorry, Charlie. You pays your money, you gets what you gets. Right? You take your chances.
This fills me with joy.
It does.
So
Why
it's
is that?
So it's a time frame thing.
Yes, it is a time frame thing. And that's why what old Blue Eyes is saying about them holding the line, they're doing it. And on Reddit, if you go into the Wall Street Bets Reddit, you'll see that there's a lot of people talking about the rationale why you're holding the line. And everyone is because they want these fat fucks to pay up this fucking money.
Now, what happens to it once they pay it up? They own all of
Yeah, they own it.
GameStop.
They own it all, and then everybody will start selling. And then once everyone starts selling, they own 1 million shares. They've paid 347 million, but they're not going to get the 347 million back. Even if the shares drop like a small percentage. Go ahead, Sean.
I was going to say, well, even if they do, like if they leave, the stock is going to plummet, right? But GameStop's not on the line for having to buy back their stock. Because they've already, you know what I mean? They're not being like, I guess, held hostage by these the hedge fund guys anymore. So,
right, and these guys will So in any event, it doesn't matter after that. So they're going to have to pay 347 million on that date, and then whatever the stock does after that's on them. They're not going to be able to convince another 10 million Reddit people to help the hedge fund people out. So that stock's going to go from 347 back down to $20. And they're going to lost 320 million. And we were talking probably 10 times that. I'm just using those numbers as examples.
Right.
That's what's going to happen.
okay.
And so a lot of rich boys.
So if nothing else, they knocked out maybe a hedge fund or two.
Oh yeah. Well, I don't know if they've knocked out a hedge fund, but
Yeah.
I
they
don't-
definitely
Put
hung
some
them
people,
out to dry for a little
but
bit.
yeah, they costed some people some money.
Yeah.
And that's not even including an investigation into these apps to be like, why are you arbitrarily stopping purchases on your app that's going to help
No.
certain individuals over other people?
I want to say,
Go ahead.
if you are in the business of shorting stocks, you are shitting your pants right now.
Yeah.
Because this could potentially happen to any stock that's been shorted.
Right. You could have somebody just their whole job in the deal is I'm just going to look and make a list of all the shorted stocks.
So I have a list right here of all the shorted stocks.
Oh, we have one. Hard Luck Show
Wow.
exclusive.
And
Are they not going to start looking at investigating that shit? Are they?
bro,
No.
they're looking at doing AMC, the movie theater place, because that's one of the top.
Has this, bro? Are they going to finally expose all these crooked Wall Street motherfuckers?
They might.
Yep. They
So-
might. Unless the crooked Wall Street motherfuckers can hurry up and, lobby some fucking Republican whatever to hurry up and put some protections in place. But listen, Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders are on the winning team right now.
Right.
Think about that.
Bernie Sanders don't want to hear no shit
Right.
about any of that.
No. He doesn't.
Ah, man.
Oh. Listen to that. That was a billionaire just shitting his pants. Whoop.
Oops.
Oh. 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 Elizabeth Warren wants to check this short stock.
Wow.
Fuck. What am I listening to?
That's fucking horrible.
That wasn't even a sound
That's
effect.
great.
That
You know
was
when you're at
just me
somebody's
farting.
pad,
man.
bro?
That's
And
great.
they live with all hardwood floors. It's a long hallway. You get in early in the morning, you plop one, and you could hear that thing from a block away. You're like, I woke up the whole house with that one. I don't know what that is, bro.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know what that is. That sounds like a tin can being kicked down the street. Look at that picture. Look at that picture, Braz.
It's a big giant poop.
Looks like a friendly poop.
Yeah, it's a friendly. Most poops are friendly.
Yeah, most poop.
Most poops are
They
friendly.
don't mean no harm.
They don't mean, dude. Honestly. But so anyway, okay. So that's. Is there anything else to squeeze out of?
There might be, but let's move on.
We're moving on. All right.
What's next, my friend?
Go ahead. What, Sean? You just thought of something.
I was going to ask Steve's position on something.
Yes,
On
sir.
what?
Please.
He's a guy who's had his tumbles with law enforcement.
All right.
Did you hear about this, the Proud Boys guy?
Oh.
The one that's rolling on. Yeah,
FBI
man.
professional
informant?
snitch.
He was an informant.
He was
For the
an
FBI.
informant.
Right. The head of what was the Proud Boys, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that makes it
Bro.
makes complete sense to me, bro.
Enrique Torrio.
Now that part I don't understand.
What do you mean?
Where's Enrique Torrio from, and how is he the head of the Proud Boys?
I don't know. Look at that. Here, that's him right there. All right. You know what? There's a certain group of Latins, I would say, that they're the Trump Latins, right? Like, how many have you met? Special K, have you met any Latinos that are for Trump?
Yeah, actually, I do know some guy from high school that is for Trump.
Right. How is that?
That's fucking annoying.
It's annoying.
Wow.
My wife hates it.
Yeah.
She's like, "Do you think that guy is backing your play?" So Enrique Torrio, he was a past informer for the federal and local law enforcement. He worked undercover for investigators after he was arrested in 2012.
What a scumbag, snitch.
A fucking scumbag. And then, of course, the Proud Boys leader, was denied all of it. I don't know any of this. I don't
recall any of this.
I don't recall any of this. You know what? That goes right to what you were talking about, Steve, about guys that talk tough, and then when the heat gets on them, they fucking roll over.
Fold it up. Break that shit down.
Right. He brought this on himself.
Idiot.
Nobody asked him to be the leader of a right-wing extremist group.
There you go.
Nobody said, "Hey, Enrique Iglesias, come here. You're going to lead the Proud Boys," right? Nobody said that shit. And then he is. And then when they pull his covers, all of a sudden he doesn't remember anything. And no, I never worked with law enforcement, and I'm not an informant. And if I was a Proud Boys person that followed that shit, I would be
a snitch.
Not only that, but I'd feel like a total fucking douche because I'd be like, you know what? I followed a snitch.
I think that half of these people, half of the Proud Boys, are snitches, informants, child molesters, predators. I think they're all that, dude. I think that they're a fucked up group of people, and this is like the leader is a piece of garbage, and it's garbage being led by garbage.
Right. He cooperated with local and federal law enforcement to aid in the prosecution of those running other separate criminal enterprises, ranging from running marijuana grow houses in Miami to operating pharmaceutical fraud schemes.
Dude, come on, man.
And then all of a sudden, he's going to be part of. And what did Trump?
Oh, he's going to be part of the new regime?
Right.
Those are the guys that are going to take over the fucking.
Ensure everyone's freedom.
Yeah.
Think about that.
They're going to take care of America.
How come these people that are always ready to raise a rifle for freedom, it always seems like what they really want is to bring back slavery?
Yeah, that's what it sounds like. Yeah.
Like you never feel like this guy that's lifting his rifle for fucking freedom is really going to bring about like, being able to, disrupt finance and short sales and all this shit. You never feel like that. You just feel like that guy's trying to bring back slavery.
Well, listen, you know where I live? I live over in the Venice area on the west side. And do you guys know, like, there's a huge homeless problem?
Yeah.
Santa Monica Venice. So I see these guys with the camp encampments and all that, right? Now, I'm not putting anybody down. I'm making a comparison. Why is it that all these racists and Proud Boy guys, like every time they show pictures of these guys, like they look like they're like homeless people that live in their mobile homes?
Right.
They have that look to them. Remember we were talking about that kind of like, that kind of film on you that you can't really wash away? Like
that sunburnt home, like that exposure, like you've been outside for so long that it's like,
dude.
Like a wear and tear, like no matter how much moisturizer you put on your face, it's just chapped.
Yeah.
Perennially chapped.
And you play you do a lot of gaming when you're not out there fucking talking about fucking USA.
Right.
Like I don't know, dude. There's like it's so unattractive. They showed some of these guys. You see pictures of rebel flags and it all looks
QAnon
real.
shaman looked like he'd been skiing without any sunblock on for like years.
They just look like dirty, grimy motherfuckers,
Yeah.
And we already know through their actions, they're just cowards.
Listen, this guy Tario.
Look at this idiot.
Right, with his fucking sunglasses and his fucking
jerk off.
Serious, right?
This dude.
Fucking A, dude. And this guy, listen, in 2014, they got a transcript from 2014. Shines new light on Tario's past and connections to law enforcement. During the hearing, the prosecutor and Tario's defense attorney asked the judge to reduce his prison sentence because they had pleaded guilty in a fraud case related to the relabeling of sale of stolen diabetes test kits. This is the kind of fucking dirtbag that is stealing and relabeling diabetes test kits. Like, that's not...
Fucking A, dude. What a fucking dirtbag. How's a motherfucker like that? You see, man? Do you see how fucked up it is?
What kind of people would try to make money off of diabetes people? That's as bad as Pharma Bro. Remember that guy? Who the fuck is that Pharma Bro? The Pharma Bro was a guy who bought a company that made an EpiPen, one of those like injectables, to help somebody with an allergy, or I can't remember what it was. But it was rare. The people who needed it, it wasn't a lot of people. Mm-hmm. And it was the only company that made it. And this guy had no connection to medicine or something like that. He came in with a bunch of money, bought the company, and the EpiPen, which was generally like $19.99, jacked the price up to like $200 because it was a life or death thing for the people that needed it. And everyone that found out about it was so fucking pissed. I can't remember how they got that guy. They fucking just ran him out of town on fucking tarred and feathered his ass and ran him out on a rail or something.
I think he got
price gouging, because there are laws against price gouging, especially if it's medical equipment. Like, you can't just come in, grab the only thing somebody needs, and then jack up the price.
Well, I mean, you can in Russia, China, like that.
How else are you going to pay for a fucking giant lair?
Each shot is fucking $1,600.
Right. By the way, the QAnon shaman's lawyer just went on the news to say, hey, my guy's ready to talk. Whatever you need. QAnon shaman?
Can we hear him?
I think this might just be the news thing.
Oh, okay.
But Jacob Chansley, who is known as the QAnon shaman, will be willing to testify that he was incited to allegedly storm the Capitol by then president, according to his attorney Albert Watkins. So already these fucking so-called patriots are already turning on each other.
Yeah.
What?
That Martin Shekel guy.
Who's Martin Shekel?
He's Shrekley or whatever.
Who is it?
He's the guy. He's the Pharma Bro guy.
Pharma Bro.
He was arrested on a federal indictment for securities fraud.
Right.
He essentially ran his company like a Ponzi scheme, where each subsequent company was formed to pay off or defraud investors. It's crazy.
Right. So, all right, this just in, Steve brought up you can only price gouge in Russia, and now we're looking at the fruits of what price gouging in Russia. The reason why you can't, the reason why you can price gouge in Russia is because Putin needs money to pay for his fucking lair.
A lair, you guys.
So
Lair.
A lair, dude. What? I mean, first of all, Putin's created the ultimate villain's lair. I mean, if you look, everything you see in this picture. First of all, there's this Italian palace.
I don't think they know what a lair is. What is the definition, really, Chumahan, of lair? What does that mean?
A lair.
They don't use that term that often.
A lair is actually kind of like a medieval term, which means something like a fortress.
Right.
Right? A lair. The dragon's lair. It's where a fortress where a beast lives. Right? And look at Sean's face, dude. Sean, right now, right, you're dealing with COVID emergency, temporary moratorium on evictions in your apartment. And now you're looking at Putin's like 180-room Italian mansion. By the way, that's not just the only building on the property. That's just one of them. What are you thinking, bro? What's going through your mind when you look at this?
I don't even know what I'm looking at, really.
All right.
And at some point, it kind of looks like a government building, like something you'd see in Washington.
Right. It's that big.
Yeah.
Right? This looks like Congress or something.
Right.
See the foundation? By the way, this whole layer, right? It's got a landing strip. It's got its own harbor. It's got underground tunnels.
Dude, this kind of looks defensible, doesn't it?
What do you mean defensible?
Because the whole bottom level is all like concrete.
Yeah. Oh, it's built down into the ground.
Oh, come on. Dude, this is probably able to withstand like a nuclear strike.
Oh, I bet you the outside of that shit is just for look, too. It's just like, it's really inside of the motherfucker.
Right.
You know?
Right. Now, this thing sits on the Black Sea, which is on the other side of the Mediterranean. And Russia, I mean, I know none of us are like geography geniuses, but like Russia's like this big piece of land. And remember how you heard about like Russia going into Ukraine and taking pieces of Ukraine? The Black Sea is part of where some of the stuff that Russia took from Ukraine is. And so Russia has the most, I think this might be in an area where like, this might be like their Miami, right? I mean, Russia, Miami is probably like Washington State to us, but to them, it's like fucking balmy and hot, right? And he's built this up on like 160 acres in the middle of nowhere on a cape in the Black Sea. And of course, there's no fly zones. Nobody's allowed to look. And there's the guy that they got in prison right now, Navalny, however you say his name, right? He's one of a lot of different dissidents that Putin guys, whatever you want to call them, poisoned and then survived. Because apparently not all of the poison kills you. Sometimes you pull through. This guy, one of the reasons why he was poisoned was because he was basically telling everyone about the secret layer, which cost about, I think it was like $1.45 billion to build.
I thought it was almost 2.
Maybe it is. Let me look at this. 160 acres.
1.4 billion.
1.4 billion. That's only what you know.
Right.
Secret train stations, underground shit,
Dude, there's nothing by this thing. So that means that this guy would have had to run plumbing, electrical, everything a foundation to
It
all
might
that.
even have to have its own independent ability to develop energy in the event that it gets cut off from some kind of attack.
I mean, there's got to be like a dam. There's got to be a reservoir. You know, that takes a lot of building.
It's got an Italian-style palace, an ice
Look at
rink,
that
an
thing.
amphitheater, and more, as well as highly detailed interior depictions of what the main residence might eventually look like based on the floor plans. Look at this.
What the fuck is that?
It's called Putin's Palace.
That's probably his airstrip.
By the way, I've seen there's a recent news article that says Trump's been a Russian asset for 40 years. There's a book that's coming out that they've done a massive investigation, and apparently in the 80s, Russia was developing assets. Now, look, what the guy says is that Russia, including the United States, we routinely would develop assets. And usually it's like in a university, you get different professors and whatever. But the thing that Russia started doing was going into business guys and trying to develop business guys as allies or assets. Not that they would tell anything. Like maybe Trump wouldn't know anything to tell the Russians, but Trump might repeat anti-Western messages or points from an American businessman, which would slow us down, fuck us up, confuse us, whatever. So they said they started developing him back when he married his first wife, Ivanka. Right.
Ivanka, yeah.
Ivanka. And apparently that's when, one of the ways in which Trump traveled to Russia to talk about building a tower, and they wined and dined him and buffed his balls and told him that he was a genius and fucking cleaned the lint from around the head of his dick real nice, all that shit. And the thing is,
Sean was like envisioning them grabbing a little string from right around the helmet, huh? And they pull on it, and it wraps around the helmet. Huh?
Don't pull it too fast because it might cut something. Yeah,
it'll hurt.
You don't want a rope burn down there, bro.
No, and you just went to go pull a little piece off, and it ringed around and pulled out again.
But in any event,
lint ring, huh?
So they've been.
Well, lint ring,
yeah,
huh?
Sometimes Sean's always like, why is he saying
Sean's like, as soon as you start saying, he goes. He's got to look at it off, smiling in his face, like he's visualizing that. I could too when you said that. It kind of grossed me out. Okay, go on.
That's the weird dick shit that I talk about.
Yeah.
Right. All right. So, in any event, yeah. So he's got like an ice rink. I think this here, what you're looking. So look, this is a bunker. Like he's got grass on top of the bunker. And then like over here is like a helipad and some drone fucking.
Why do they have grass over the bunker?
This
part?
is like a campus.
It all looks all crazy.
Yeah, it is a campus. I mean, look, this
There's
is
so much more than just that house.
And he's building into the cliff because there's. Look at how much fucking shit. And Putin's denying it. But all of that.
Putin's denying what?
He's denying that belongs to him.
What is he saying? Who does it belong to?
Oh, he doesn't know. He's a government official. He's not stealing
the ruler
anyone.
of fucking Russia has no idea.
It has a fucking harbor.
Right. That's what I said. It's got a harbor, a marina.
So that's how they pay the presidents, the dictators, and
because I think on some level, because this is what I was thinking about. At some level, he's going to be out of it, out of Russia, right?
Right.
And
he's got the lifetime thing, so he's ruler until he dies now.
Yeah, but like I'm almost thinking like when you're a government, like let's say America, and he's building something like this. First of all, how many enemies do you think Putin thinks he has? Right? Like I mean, we got to think that Mossad, everybody. I mean, dude, not even from a national level. Just think if you're Putin, how many people you ordered like assassinated around the world for various reasons. There was those people there was that guy in the Ukraine like 15 years ago. They poisoned him. He didn't die, but his face is forever bumpy like a fucking, like it looks like a fucking, his face looks like chewed up gum. Forever. And that guy was the leader of the Ukraine. So he's got some sharpshooters that, are like, man, that's fucked up.
I mean, how many other people are in fucking prison in a hole somewhere in
Someone's
Siberia?
dad. Your dad. You trained in the military in Russia. You went to a certain level, and all of a sudden you found out that your dad didn't die a hero in the war. He's actually still in a gulag up in Siberia shoveling fucking ice shit because Putin wanted to fuck your mom. Something like that. That shit happens. Think about that. So Putin's like, fuck, man. My retirement home, like when I want to just finally relax, I'm going to have to fucking dig into a side of a fucking cliff.
Right.
Think about that.
And who knows? Nobody knows really how much. Like, Putin may have fucking 20 women that he started families with. He may be fucking putting his whole little army in there.
I mean, and think about that. If you're in the United States, I mean, or even Russia. Let's say in Russia you get he gets deposed finally, because there's protests in Russia right now against him. Massive.
I bet you there's a whole, what do you call it in there? Chambers to withstand nuclear, all that shit in there.
Yeah. But let's say you're the leader of the opposition, and then you get the people on your side, and they're like, yeah, we want Putin out. And Putin can't finally overcome it.
Okay.
Then Putin says, okay, I'll tell you what, I'm going to hand over the reins, but you got to let me go down to Camp Putin. And you know that once he gets to Camp Putin, or if he gets there before you can do anything, or he's trying to stop your revolt from Camp Putin, but now he's there, you can't touch him. You're going to have to deal with him for the rest of your life.
But let me ask you this, bro.
Go ahead.
Who does Putin, does the next ruler get all that shit from Putin? No.
That's a private residence.
That's what I'm saying. So now who he puts...
His son, or whatever, he's got 2 daughters, I think. He's got 2 daughters. They're going to inherit it.
Right, but are they also going to inherit the throne? Is that how they got the shit locked?
But I mean, look at that shit.
Because if that's the case, then that's just a castle, and he's just the king.
That's it. Right.
If that's the case, then they just keep on running it. That's the king's castle, bro.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. Now think about this. That's just the king's castle, right? But in today's day and age, the king has to give a showing that somehow he's legitimately the king. How is that? Because he got voted. Right? So they're still holding weird elections in Russia. And he wins 98% of the vote. Right? And same thing with, okay. But think about this, right? Think about that 500 years from now when they tell fairy tales, they're going to use these defensive palaces as the location of the fair maiden, and it's going to be a romantic thing. Because when you look at Frozen or you look at any of these fairy tales, they always take place in a castle. And you think like, oh, that's romantic, it's cute. But a castle's a war machine.
You don't get a castle without a lot of blood.
You don't get a castle without hanging people's heads over the wall.
That's right, bro. That's right. You don't get a castle without massacring.
Right. And then you're telling a fairy tale, which is supposedly totally cool to tell kids. Rapunzel, let down your fucking hair. Right? Where is she? She's in a castle. Oh, what's a castle? It's just a cute place. What? Disneyland, the Magic Kingdom.
Magic Castle.
Think about that. What that implies to kids. And then 500, that would be the same thing as 500 years from now, you look at Putin, who's assassinating tons of people, and we all agree was a terrible guy, but you just talk about his beautiful daughter in that beautiful magic house.
Yeah. Yeah, it's what they want to sell you, man.
Think about that.
It's the wrapping paper.
It's fucking insane. I'll tell you something. I was watching.
It's the same thing that you've always said, though, Chumahan. Like, people want to get mad and make criminals of different guys that have been through different shit, right?
Yeah.
But back, even in our Bible, Jesus followers were fucking killers, bro. These Marcus Aurelius, and
right?
All these people. These dudes were stone cold killers,
right?
But these are saints. Or we look at these people, we're all like,
right?
Why is it now, because of all this time,
yes,
that they're patron saints?
That's right.
Aren't these really patron saints right now? That
yes, it all depends on the fucking story you're gonna tell in the future.
Right, dude. It's crazy.
Right. Think about this. I was watching The Lion King with Tigra, right? The live action one. And it fucking just dawned on me that the whole thing is fucking disturbing. The whole fucking line. And I love Lion King. Don't get me wrong. I like all that shit. I love the cartoon. I love the fucking... You're nodding your head, Special K. Are you agreeing with that? What are you saying?
Oh, yeah, Lion King's fucked up.
Oh, tell me why the Lion King's fucked up. I like this.
There's a part where Mufasa's like kind of like playing with the skull, and you kind of never realize that it's probably Simba's skull or whatever the dad is. I mean, I never really watched The Lion King.
Oh.
But
you didn't watch it, but you agree it's fucked up?
Yeah. 'Cause, I mean, I've seen videos on it.
All right. Listen, I watched the whole thing, both of them.
Yeah.
Anyway.
No, I went to the movie theater and watched it.
Right, and it was good on the aesthetic level.
Right. You
It
were
was
like,
cool.
wow, they made it really look cool.
Right? But then, so check this out. I'm watching it with Tigra, and she loves it because the animals are all like, right?
They look real and shit.
But like in the opening, what's the opening? It's like zebras and giraffes and fucking elephants and all this shit congregating around Pride Rock, which, I mean, really isn't that much different than Putin's palace. It's built into the side of a hill. Okay? And what are they celebrating? They're celebrating the birth of a predator that's going to fucking kill him in the future. Zebras. My little girl's watching a zebra. Who knows and the song is called Circle of Life. Listen, bitches. I'm going to fucking grow up one day and eat you. But you should come here and worship me and think it's a good thing. Because I'm going to fucking eat you. And I'm
the king of the jungle.
I'm going to birth a kid that's going to eat you. I'm going to train him how to kill you. I'm going to train my son how to kill people that look like you. But you're going to come here and it's going to be a beautiful thing. We're going to celebrate. And it's not called murder. Oh, that's too harsh of a word. No.
The circle of life.
It's the circle of life. Yeah. How far do you think if somebody caps somebody in court, how far do you think the circle of life defense is going to get you?
Right?
How far is it?
This is just a circle of life. Don't you close your eyes, because it's a circle of life.
Right. You should play that song. It's a circle of life. And I was thinking about the circle of life concept. And I realize now that it's unnatural. That this concept that we have today about harmony and balance and circle is actually an artificial thing. It's artificial. And it's the basis for dictators and emperors and kings. And it's clearly laid out. It's clearly laid out in The Lion King. Why? Because The Lion King is telling you that the real order, the order of predators and prey, can be suspended briefly so that we can all acknowledge that this violence, this crime, this unfairness, this attacking is all part of a cycle of life. So don't question what happens to you. Real life is chaos. That's real life. Like the sun is going to burn out. There's no balance there. Right? There's no other sun that's going to come and fill its place. It's over, Johnny. It's over. There were mass extinctions before mammals even came along. Imbalances. And I'm not saying that to justify pollution. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying when you say that the natural order is balance and harmony, always what's required is an authority to ensure the balance. There always has to be someone at the top, a hedge fund guy, whatever, to ensure the balance. Because if you don't have somebody constantly fucking with shit, it's going to get unbalanced. And so this circle of life, this fucking concept, especially I'm telling you straight up, yoga. Yoga people can hate on me all you want. But this concept that you have of a unity and a balance and all that other stuff is really an artificial concept that supports hierarchies. Human hierarchies, by the way. Not natural hierarchies. Human hierarchies. Only a human would think of something like balance. The trees don't worry about it. The trees are doing whatever trees are doing. The universe does whatever the universe does. The sun does whatever. Even the cells in your body are only doing what the cells do.
Right.
But it's a human that comes along and says, wait a minute, we need balance. And balance, in another word, is order. And order always requires an authority to regulate it. That's why I think these spiritual movements that we talk about, like Heaven's Gate and all that other stuff, starts off with this kind of like nice sort of ideology. Like, you know, the Heaven's Gate people were kind of like, oh, we need to try to control our humanness, right? There's a kind of an aspirational aspect to all cults in the beginning. Right. But it eventually and very quickly devolves into an authority making sure that the aspiration's getting done. And somehow that aspiration always supports their rule and their special place.
You know how, I mean, obviously you agree that, and I just want to bring it back to a planet type of thing, what you were saying.
Yeah.
If you agree that the earth in itself is a living, breathing thing.
What do you mean?
That you believe that the earth, the planet itself, is a living thing, like a dog. Like you.
The entire earth itself?
The entire earth itself.
You'd have to define what you mean by living.
That the earth breathes oxygen in and out. There's, you know, it's living. It's a living, breathing thing. Energy source, maybe you could call it.
Okay, this is what I don't know. Listen. That's why I'm saying we got to define the terms. If you're telling me, do I believe that the earth is an energy that has an energy in it, then I would say yes. Why?
Do you believe the earth's alive?
But then I'd ask you, what is
alive?
Alive? Is it growing? Is it something that's continually moving forward and growing?
It's actually is growing, and the earth will expand.
Okay.
Wait. Wait. See, this is why people hate me. What do you mean by growing?
The earth's core?
Go ahead.
The core will expand.
No.
Over the next whatever.
Is expanding the same thing as growing?
Maybe
well,
not.
It depends on what you mean by growing.
That's what I fucking asked.
Right. And that's what I'm saying is cells reproducing growth. Like, is the thing, is it growing? Is it part of life source? Is it life? Is
it part of life source? Yeah, obviously, because how could life go in it? But is it alive in the sense of
a soul?
Is it an animal? Is it like an animal alive? No, I don't think that. No. But that's definitions of alive.
Right, and that's yours.
Right.
So what I'm saying is this, is that I believe that the earth has all the right moistures, water, all this shit on it, okay? And it's sitting there.
Right.
Now, as we pull back,
yeah,
what does the planet look like it's doing if you were to put us under a microscope? You would see greenery. You would see greenery.
Yeah.
You'd see some water.
Uh-huh.
You'd see some water dissipating.
Yeah.
You'd see the green and that. Then you would see like hard things starting to.
Why is this sounding
buildings
sexual to me?
And you would start seeing, and now the whole world's becoming like just like hardware. And if you think about that,
okay,
in terms of microscope, it all seems like mold, layers of mold and growth and growth and growth.
Okay,
like bacteria.
Like bacteria.
Okay.
Like
we're like a giant cheese.
Like maybe the earth was put there, and as soon as you put the humans and everything else, those are really just more bacteria growing.
Right.
And the hard mold is like all this shit but I'm talking about microscopically. If you looked at it, just like, oh, it's molding more and more and more.
Okay. What about it?
I'm just wondering if like maybe that is true. Maybe the sun's gonna burn out. Maybe the sun's gonna burn us all out. Maybe it only takes the sun coming, a certain amount of miles to the earth, and the whole earth would be, everything on it would be flattened.
Flame on.
We don't know if that's already happened.
Wait, what?
A number of times.
Oh, sure.
Like the distinct, where things are made distinct. We don't know if, as they dig down, they find crazier and crazier shit.
That's true.
Cities and people.
Yeah, but if there was a flame on, there would be a huge charcoal layer all around the world.
Right.
They would see that. But it doesn't mean that it might not have happened a long, long time ago and it's further down, maybe. I don't know. But I think metaphorically, I understand what you're saying.
I'm really talking about really like removing all of our ideas and just looking at it as a piece of like, if you left a peach there on the ground, eventually the peach would start, or all it takes is one insect to land on a piece of meat or something and leave an egg, and now it's worms and it's that and it's molding and it's that. It's maybe we think we know what time is. We think that we've been here so long. We don't know if all this shit has happened in a split second.
Well, it is a split second to something.
Right. So we don't know if this is where we're heading, if this has happened. We don't really know. We think that 100 million years is a long time.
Right. But that could just be one butt cheek clap to a giant cosmic fart.
Right. I think
Special K?
Yes, Special K.
Answer to what Mr. Luciano has posited to you some serious fucking knowledge. And you're still wet behind the ears.
And I'm saying this, and I'm going to say this, Steve. And this is, and I've said it before on the show.
Do it.
As I look into things through a microscope, they look exactly the way they do as if I were to pull back and look in the universe. Why is that?
All right, go. Special K.
Special K.
It's your life. You live it how you want to live.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy to see like a bunch of patterns. You know, like you say, a cell and compared to like the actual universe. But I don't know. It's to us, it's hard to think. I mean, you kind of just have to start kind of looking at it from outside the box, and I kind of agree to that.
Hold on, everybody, just for a moment now. Sean, evaluate Special K's communication style and what he just said. Why are you laughing? Why are you laughing, Sean?
What?
Evaluate
That's
Special
it.
K.
That's his famous line, bro.
Evaluate. I mean, listen, I'm going to give you some information.
That is my feedback for him.
Oh,
what? Oh, yeah. I mean, like the thing is, you kind of laid this question on me, and I'm like, how am I supposed to respond to that?
Wait a second. How am I supposed to respond to that? First of all, why is it a suppose? What makes you go into how am I supposed to respond instead of I honestly feel this?
I just think it's such a big question that I would have to like think about it.
No, my friend. My question to you is when I throw randomly a question at you, right, which has philosophical portents from a man who has lived many great lives already, something to impart to you, right? This right here is Santa Monica Socrates. Okay,
dude, that's fantastic.
That's your next shirt.
SS.
And you're an acolyte, right? Your parents sent you to his school to learn something. Okay, then I throw it to you without putting. Now you've listened to the show. I can be a real dick,
right?
Okay, I didn't put any dickish moves on it. I just said, hey. But your first instinct was to say, what am I supposed to say to that? What is it that causes you to think about what you're supposed to say?
I feel like I should be given a response. I feel like someone has given you the spotlight, so you need to give something back. You can't just.
But what you want to give back is something. What am I supposed to say? Supposed to say means that there's a right answer or there's an expected answer.
Right.
What is it about you that causes you to think that there's going to be an expected answer versus what your actual, honest?
What's really going on?
What's your authentic answer? Don't go into. Why do you go into what am I supposed to say versus? I just heard Steve say basically that the same thing as a microscope looks the same as in a telescope.
Right.
Okay. Why is that? And then we turn it to you, and you're like, what am I supposed to say? Right. What is your authentic? To what Steve said, what is your real authentic response? Like, what comes to mind?
Steve brings up some good points. That's it. I don't know. I don't.
Do you agree?
I do agree, to an extent.
Sean, what are you hearing here?
I can feel I can feel his position,
right?
Because sometimes you want him to stay on target and answer the question that applies to him, and then maybe he's thinking of something else, but he doesn't want to go.
Were you thinking of something else?
Done?
What does that make you feel?
Yeah, what do you feel?
Right about the question?
Yeah, about the situation.
Yeah.
And the question.
It's like that one time. It's like the last episode or a few episodes ago when we talked about Heaven's Gate.
Yeah.
I was like, well, but the aliens, it could be aliens, And then you said, oh, well, that's kind of like you have to have like a limited imagination. And that's why I was like, you know what? How about I just don't say anything on this?
Why? That's interesting. What do
That
you
is
hear there?
interesting.
What do you hear there, Sean?
Because maybe he's embracing a different point of view, but he doesn't want to rock the boat.
But I mean, he was saying that he's taking personally my comment that when people think that stuff in the ancient days that happened had to have been by aliens because they have a lack of imagination to understand what people in the ancients possibly could have done.
Right, but
he's taking that as that means that he was quote unquote wrong, right?
Yeah, I guess.
Did you feel like somehow that exposed like a lack of information on your side, like that you felt like you were uneducated or you didn't articulate yourself well?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
So he's thinking like, God, I don't want to put myself out there because then I'll look like I don't know what I'm talking about, or I'm not prepared to do a back and forth, right?
Right.
Steve, what do you think about what's going on out there?
I'm thinking about a couple things. I'm
Go
trying
ahead.
to make something. I'm trying to make something a little more clear in what I'm asking, and what I'm getting at is that I believe that there's an infinite both ways.
Right.
And people came up with the idea of time, and I don't really subscribe to it. I think there's an infinite either way. Either way you go.
Right.
Right.
And and I'm going to give all of you guys an example right now of how you can't unprove this. I'm going to give you what you can unprove right now.
What you can't unprove.
You can't unprove. Either way. Going either way on this.
You're already getting tricky because you're not
infinite.
saying you can't prove it. You just can't unprove it.
Can't unprove
Oh, tricky. Okay, very good. Santa Monica
What is
Socrates.
it? What is it? Okay. What is it? We take a molecule, and then when you get to the smaller part of that, it's like this, and you get to the smaller part of that, and it's an atom. And what's the smallest thing that there is?
A quark.
Oh,
A quark.
okay. And what happens what happens if you get the quark and you're able to split that quark? What do you have?
I'm not sure.
What do you have?
I don't know.
Half a cork.
You have two halves, don't you?
You have two halves. That's correct.
You do.
Yeah.
And what happens when you get one of those halves and you split that?
You have a quarter cork.
And when you get that one, when you split that quark, what do you have?
You have a 1/8. Why is that starting
And
to
if
feel
you
like we
keep
should be talking about weed?
But if you keep on cutting it down, what do you have?
You have an infinite. You have an infinite
Green.
regress.
It's an infinite life source. You're not going to kill it. You can't put that out.
No.
You can't extinguish it.
No, and there's a guy in ancient times that was famous for his arguments, a lot of them. And one of them is a version of what you're saying, which is that an arrow actually can never make its destination. And then somebody says, well, what do you mean? I just shot an arrow and it fucking hit the target. Yeah, but if you have that direction of the arrow, right, what do you have? You have a half a thing. And half and half. And if you can infinitely have the distance of an arrow, right, then it can't. Can an arrow travel infinity? No. Okay. So there's this infinity that goes down, and the arrow really can't travel an infinity, and you can infinitely have the arrow, so it'll never reach its destination. So what you're saying is a very understood function of a logic, a logic.
Mm-hmm. A logic.
Okay? Which is that there is an infinite ability to have anything. But just as the arrow shows us that while you can do that analytically, somehow the arrow is still able to make it to the target. So what you're saying is that in the term of energy, yeah, you could have it all the way down. Yet somehow the energy is able to make it to a target. So that infinite regress might not be controlling on the actual realistic experience of the life energy that you're talking about, even though it's correct what you're saying. And this is one of the items that people point to when they say that this is where you start to get into the realm of, so human, they call it subjectivity, but we can just call it like experience. Your experience, my human experience has within it some very interesting problems of perception that don't always match up with what actually happens in the quote unquote real. And some people will say this is an example of how, like, you can't get outside our subjectivity.
Right.
You can't get outside of it. And everyone's subjective experience is slightly different, even though we're looking at similar things. And some people will go even so far as to say that, like, well, so the key isn't trying to ascertain what the real thing is. And in order to transcend the individualized subjective experience, the key isn't trying to, we both look at a color, it could be more blue, could be more red, but we were both calling it blue. The key to transcending human experience does not exist in trying to ascertain what the real color outside of human experience is. Why? Because you never get there.
Right.
And that, my friend, is what some people use at the higher levels in order to enforce their authority. If they can convince you that they have access to that real thing and that they can tell you what it is, then they have convinced you that they are transcendent to your own subjective experience, and then that will lead you to following what they say. Which is to say that
you let somebody else think for you.
Yeah, but you might, but it might not feel like it. It might feel like you worked a long and hard, arduous
like
road.
You said, people feel like they have a choice: Starbucks or bacon cheeseburger.
Right.
Because you've been made to feel like that's a choice. That's
Well,
how it's been sold to you.
So we live in a generation in which slavery is sold as freedom. Okay, slavery is sold as freedom, and so you have the freedom. And this is why the guys that are fighting for freedom, so-called, seems like when they raise their gun for freedom, it seems like they're trying to restore slavery, right? Or it's like,
I like that. We need to make that one into a shirt.
And then, or it's like when they tell you that if you go onto TikTok or you go on, and I'm not against it. Like, people sometimes when they hear me say this think like, "Whoa, what? So what are you against?" I'm not. I'm just saying, when you go on to Twitch or you go on to TikTok or you go on to Facebook or you go on to Instagram, it's weird. It seems like what you're doing is expressing yourself, which seems like a freedom that you didn't have before. And yet, what you are actually doing is reporting on yourself.
Yes. Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
It's like going willingly to the CIA and saying, here's my family. Here's how much money I make. This is what I like to jack off to.
Right.
Right?
They did the same shit with the iPhones when they're like, "Ooh, look at this cool way that you don't have to be doing all this stuff. You just read your finger."
Right.
Bam.
Right.
Now they just got everybody's shit, right?
Right. And so Slavoj Žižek, I was just reading an article about him, and he was talking about that. And he was saying that in this age, he was saying in the old days, the surplus, slavery, for instance, in the old days, right? What was that really? Okay. It was workers that you had to pay at the minimum level that were creating a product, cotton, that or other slaves, that you could sell, just like these short billionaire guys, right? You would sell at a retail. So whatever your costs of production, whatever it cost you to fucking make that shit was real low compared to what the market was willing to pay for the product. And so you, because you didn't have to share it with the slaves because they were non-humans, you got to realize all that profit. That's called a surplus. It's the same thing with sex. And this is where Lacan and psychoanalysis comes in. It's very interesting. Sex is enjoyable because there's a surplus. There's a surplus. How is the surplus generated? The surplus is generated by the delay in the prohibitions. With the dating and the walking around and the hoping and the trying and the being stuck in the friend column for 10 weeks and then getting on and trying and then they don't want you and races don't want you to do this and maybe it's not right and that one's married and I'm cheating and all that stuff actually creates more pleasure in the sex than is actually really there. You're just busting a nut. I mean, it's the same thing as like, why is it that when you masturbate or when you're with some chicks, right? There are some chicks that you're with where the masturbation versus the chick is either equal or the chick might even be less than the actual masturbation. Have you ever experienced that?
Of course.
Sean, have you ever experienced that where you're like, you know what?
I have a better time rubbing one out than this bitch is doing.
Right.
Right. I'm having a better time rubbing one out than being with this chick.
Kevin, have you ever had that feeling?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sean, have you ever been with a woman where afterwards you were like, where everything that went into it and all that other stuff actually would have been more enjoyable if I would have just been able to beat off?
Shot that shit right into a fucking Kleenex.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But at the same time,
on your buddy's back.
Okay. But at the same time, right, there's people that you're with, women that you're with, where hands down, made beating off seem like fucking ginger beer.
Right.
This chick was so whatever it was, right? So that's the surplus. That's in sex. The extra enjoyment.
The extra.
The extra. That's what's really driving everything.
Right.
Same thing with the profits. So now in this age, they're saying it's information, your participation level. Yeah. The surplus that business and the government, who are no longer separate, are getting is the surplus information. You think you are putting a funny video up for likes, but the amount of information that big data is getting in return is the surplus that they're able to sell. That's where we're at in this version of the economy, especially in this country.
It's
everybody, Mr. and Mrs. Earbuds. Sean's looking at me. He loves an awkward pause. That Sean, love it. You love that awkward pause. When he looks at me, and when we get to the end of a thing, and he just looks.
You turn to me with that like expectant,
Yeah,
thing. Like, weigh in on this.
yeah.
I got nothing for you.
But what is the? You know what's interesting? You're real good at reading what somebody's thinking or wants from you.
Yeah?
An expectation of you.
Yeah.
And then maybe it's a sense of power you feel when you get to then
Maybe.
decide, like, am I going to give it? Am I going to hold it back a little bit?
Maybe.
That's interesting. I think that round table, Special K escaped from having to answer the question.
He did.
Once again.
Yeah, think about that. Special
Yeah,
K.
dude. You get self-conscious.
You get a scare.
You do. You get
a scare.
Special K, you get us scared, especially when it comes to communication.
right.
Don't be a scare.
You know why I'm bringing this up is because one of the things in this internship that I'm trying to help Special K with is...
Oh, we know, Chumahan.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
What is it?
You're trying to get him right for the world. You're trying to turn this young man into a man.
I mean, part of being a man is being able to communicate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I know you are, and I see that, and I think that Kevin takes it like that because Kevin doesn't look like he takes the shit personal.
Right.
He hears you out. He's trying to work with you. And
How
you're
many
trying
times?
to help pull him out?
Let me ask you a question. How many times have you put yourself out there with what you think, and then somebody spits some shit, and you realize that your position wasn't that great, and you had to learn from it?
Well, I've had that happen about fucking 50 times on the show with these guys and my partner, and it's made me have to be more honest.
Sean?
In saying that,
Yeah.
I don't know something, and I don't understand how this works.
Right.
Like with the fucking GameStop shit.
Right.
I just didn't understand it. So I'd rather come that way
Right.
than to look like an idiot.
Then let me tell you something. There's been times where I actually did a lot of work and I thought I did know something. And I came right out and said it. And then somebody...
And then Lepke was like, no.
Yeah, and then Lepke was like, bullshit.
No,
Bullshit.
dried spinach, motherfucker. And you're like, I don't know shit. He
Dude.
sold dried spinach to fucking Ramirez. What do I
Right.
know?
Wasn't even tripping.
Right.
Richard Ramirez showed him the pentagram and Lepke was like, what?
How about you did all that investigative work on Richard Ramirez?
Yeah.
And you build it all up, and then he just steals your fucking spotlight by selling fucking spinach to Richard Ramirez.
You know what? I look at that and I feel honored.
Yeah, you bowed out nice like on that.
No, I do. I go, look, dude, I can't do what Lepke does. I can't. I'm 5'5" on a good day.
Yeah.
Right? 5'5" on a good day. Right? And I probably got about the same amount of lip that Lepke does.
Extra starch in his hat.
Right.
Yeah.
I got about the same amount of lip as Lepke does. I just don't have any of the size qualifications. Right. So I got to come with knowledge and work.
Right.
That's how I got to show up. I got to be right a lot of the time in order for people to be like, all right, that loud motherfucker can talk.
Yep.
Right?
You better be sure about that.
Right. If I was any less
You
than...
are, though. But you are. That's why you can do what you do.
I appreciate that. But so when Lepke shows up with a fucking dried spinach Night Stalker story...
Shut the fuck up.
I shut the fuck up on that, and I high-five that motherfucker on the way out, and I go, you know what? Listen, he does what he does. He got to know what he got to know. I do what I do. I got to know what I got to know. Together, it's a fucking great show.
So, man, you really added value this time.
Oh. And you know what? I'll tell you something else. Lepke also, for as funny as that guy is, he does listen because I've noticed that he started to try to tailor his conversation to be a little bit more focused than it has been in the past.
Now go ahead, Sean.
Sean, have you ever come out and said some shit, put yourself out there, and then you were like, nah, that dude's just plumb wrong? Or felt embarrassed because your position was outed and you were wrong?
Oh, hell yeah.
How many times do you think?
Come on, bro. 800. That's a good round number, right?
So Special K, part of being a seasoned person, we can even take it off of gender. We can just say as an adult. As an adult, part of it is that yeah, you gotta fucking put your shit out there. Sometimes it's gonna win. Sometimes it's gonna get bit off. Right? And you're going to learn something and you don't have to worry about what you're supposed to say. That's what a young man thinks. Young man thinks, what am I supposed to say?
Yeah.
Right? But the samurai says what he actually feels.
Yeah.
Ooh,
That's
shit.
hot. Man, we need a quote. Man, that's a good one.
Yeah. I like that.
Let's say that again, Chumahan.
I don't remember.
Clean it up. Clean it up and rephrase it if you want.
We'll rewind that and take
The kid, a boy.
A young man
thinks.
A young man says, what did I say?
Thinks about what he's supposed to say.
A young man thinks about what he's supposed to say. A samurai says what he feels.
Dude, we're going to figure that out exactly. And that's a Chumahan quote. It's going to be a t-shirt. Well, you've heard it. From the Hard Luck Show, this is Steve Luciano. I want to give a shout out to Vibes, Cookies, Soul Assassins, Supermax Clothing, Hard to Kill, Hard Luck Show, and a very special audio and attorney, audio expert and attorney that I'm going to let them give their shout outs now.
Go ahead, Bo Blue Eye.
Shout out to the listeners. I mean, big shout out to the listeners. Thank you.
Sorry, hold on.
Go ahead. Shout out to the listeners. Yeah. Sean at hardluckshow.com for all your audio needs.
Ovando Bowen, LLP. We wear braids to court. Get an attorney that's actually going to fight for you or save you some fucking money. Just ask one of my other... You sent me a client, Steve. That guy's happy as a pig in shit right now.
Which one?
I can't say.
Oh, okay.
The guy who's having some trouble with an insurance company.
Gotcha.
That
Say
guy
no more.
called me today.
Is he happy?
To personally thank me.
Yeah. Great.
So, I want to say a big shout out to Mike Art Gill. Big shout out to all our listeners. I want to give a big shout out to Darth Omar, whatever the numbers are for his pictures of the fucking Heaven's Gate mansion. I want to give a shout out to, right? Veganism. Yeah, that's right. I said it. I don't give a shit. And Special K, what you got?
If you're into gaming, if you want to see the intern of the Hard Luck Show in his own realm, come visit me at twitch.tv/Dorizzle28.
What is it? Slash what?
Dorizzle. Dorizzle 28.
Dorizzle.
What are you
Yes.
playing right now?
Right now, I'm gonna get back into it. I haven't been streaming, but I'll be playing a bunch of popular games. So
That was like a
Variety
whole lot of
stream.
nothing. What are you going to be playing?
Valorant,
Rust.
Among Us,
Oh, all right.
all these popular games. I'll be streaming.
He'll be streaming.
Streaming.
Cool.
Right. He live his life.
Like we do about this time. Adios, amigos.